Jim, you close it? Please, thank you.
There are lights.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. And would you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Here.
Councilmember Leary?
Here.
Councilmember Mazur?
Here.
Supervisor Rufino?
Here. Councilmember Dickman, you have the pledge and invocation tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for the invocation, I just ask everybody for a moment of silence for all the victims from the shooting in the city of Buffalo over the weekend. Thank you.
You know, on that note, it's a very sad world that we live in today, witnessing what we witnessed. Today I attended the funeral of a good friend and basically a person that was a dedicated servant to the public. He was a Depew lieutenant, gave so much to the community, gave so much to friends, gave so much to family. And we lose people unexpectedly like that, and we have to watch what's going on in this world today. It's just unbelievable, very sad, just heartbroken to see what's going on, and we're all living through this. We want to call it a nightmare. It really specifically comes down to being a nightmare. So it's unfortunate. Just have to pray for a better world, and hopefully things do get better on these heinous acts. Tonight we have 19 pre-filed resolutions. We have one suspended resolution. We have 2 public hearings, 3 executive sessions. The executive sessions are collective bargaining units under number 8. We also have one under number 2 for police, and we have one under number 1 for building and zoning. Are we going to go now into?
I think you should do it after the
Public hearings? Okay. Okay. We'll be closing in memory of 5 people. First one is Lieutenant Jeffrey D. Gorski, Edwin Bluski, Evelyn Barnhart, Albert Renault Sr., and Joe Rena. At this point, I'll ask anybody if they'd like to come to the podium. Please state your name, address. If you'd like to address the town board in any of the 19 pre-filed or 1 suspended resolutions, please raise your hand. This is for a second time and a third time. Okay, we can move on. Any official reports? We all good?
Just the our planning board has a meeting this Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Library serving their chicken roast on the 22nd, which you hit on last week, or last meeting.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we're going to move on to our resolutions. I'd like to move resolution number 1. This is out the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held May 2nd, 2022. Being hereby approved, may I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2, and this is out the following audit claims. Being hereby ordered paid from their respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the assistant to the supervisor. It's check run number 05162022. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $807,658.89. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazur, you have number 3?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution to move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and hereby reaffirmed. There was a total of 62 in the town and another 24 in the village, and total number of complaints for this period of time, 5 inspections and 38 complaints. I'll go real fast through them. There were 17 fences, 9 roofs, 3 installation of generators, There was 6 residential alterations or additions, 6 pools, 5 sheds, 5 decks, 1 pergola, 1 sign, 6 porch covers, 2 single-family dwellings, and 1 cell tower alteration. In the village, there was 6 roofs, 6 fences, 3 dumpsters, 1 sign, 1 garage, 2 pool installations, 4 residential additions, and 1 plumbing permit. Let me just finish up with the wording. Further be it resolved that the building permit applications herein coded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver being hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at a further date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
I'm going to abstain. My house is on here for a roof, so.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 4. This resolve the following individuals hereby appointed to the position of court officer part-time, Divisional and Town Justice Court Department in the town of Lancaster, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, that these being part-time positions provide no health, insurance, sick days, vacation, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. The person is David Hanitz, court officer, $19.10 per hour. Effective date is May 16th. Be it further resolved that when Mr. Hanitz is called upon to serve as court officers, they shall receive a minimum of 3 hours pay or pay for the actual number of hours worked, whichever is greater. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Mr. Supervisor, I would ask that this resolution be tabled at this time. The individual, nothing against the individual, but there's been no process, there's been no background investigation. I talked to one of the judges who wasn't aware that he was even being considered, and I think we should come up with a better process for the hiring of the court security officers.
This actually came from one of the justices.
I know. Yeah, it came from one of them, it didn't come from both.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to put a vote out to table it.
Okay.
Let me get the roll call for
To table it, sure. So there is a motion on the floor by Councilman to table resolution number 4. Do we have a second?
Second.
On the roll? Or on the question, I'm sorry. On the roll.
Okay. Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I would ask in the future, please make a phone call to me. If you don't mind, I would have told this right away.
I apologize, there was so much going on back there. I didn't
Okay.
get a chance to talk to the chief the way I really wanted to, but I'll do that in the future.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickman, number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. An honorable town board, I sponsor resolution number 5 for its adoption. Whereas George Pappas, 5153 Transit Road, Depew, New York, 14043 is applied to the town board of the town of Lancaster for private improvements upon real property in the town of Lancaster at 5153 Transit Road. Whereas on October 18, 2021, the town board of the town of Lancaster, in accordance with stipulations listed in section 400-75D9 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, rescinded private improvement permit number 833. And whereas the town engineer of the town of Lancaster is certified on the following permit application that he has reviewed the improvement plans and permit application for the installation of private improvements requested and that they conform to the ordinances of the town of Lancaster. Whereas the town engineer of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated May 4, 2022, has recommended the previously submitted private improvement permit be approved. Now therefore be it resolved that the private improvement permit application number 833 for 5153 Transit Road, Depew, New York, 14043, which is a private improvements for installation of detention basin, storm sewer, water lines, and sanitary sewers at 5153 Transit Road, Depew.
I'll second it.
May I have a second? On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Okay, I'd like to move resolution number 6. And this is to resolve that the town board of Town of Lancaster hereby declares multiple electronic pieces of equipment to be surplus equipment and authorize the town supervisor to donate said equipment to Sun King Electronic Recycling Service to be recycled at no cost to town for the arrangements made with the Town of Lancaster's Deputy Highway Superintendent. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, you have number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members. I'm offering resolution number 7 for adoption. Whereas the town of Lancaster seeks grant monies from the State of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee via the Police Traffic Services Program to reduce unsafe driving behaviors within the town. And whereas grant monies will be used to support overtime police patrols targeting speeding and aggressive driving. Now, therefore be it resolved that Town of Lancaster Police Captain Marco Larienzo be authorized and directed to complete the necessary application, forms, etc., to be submitted to the State of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee for the purpose of securing this grant, and be it further resolved that the supervisor and chief of police be and hereby are authorized and directed to execute all documents pertaining to the application acquisition of said funding.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazur, you have number 8.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, Chapter 26, the Town of Lancaster Town Code provide for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas proposed local law of the year 2022 entitled Schedule B Revision of the Code of the Town of Lancaster was introduced to the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster by Councilmember Mazur on May 2nd, 2022, and whereas the Town Board, acting as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has determined the action as a Type 2 action under seeker, and whereas the Town Board called for a notice and held a public hearing on the proposed local law on May 16th, 2022, where all interested parties were able to address the proposed local law. Now therefore it be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that number 1, attached local law number 4 of 2022 is hereby adopted, and 2, the local law shall be effected upon its filing with the Secretary of State pursuant to the Municipal Home Rule Law.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 9. This resolves the following individuals hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week. As being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time permanent employees. First name is John Quincy, a bingo inspector, $70 per inspection. Effective date is May 17th. To be further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
No.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
No.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazur, number 10, please.
Yes. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, Chapter 23 of the Code of Town of Lancaster provide the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas after review and consideration, the Town Board, the Town of Lancaster is proposing to amend Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, by amending subsections 400-75D9, site plan review procedures to include recommendation be provided by the Town of Lancaster Planning Board, and whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the proposed local law at their meeting on May 4th, 2022, and recommended that it be adopted, whereas pursuant to the Town of Lancaster Code and the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing is required prior to adopting a local law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that number 1, public hearing for the proposed local law of the year 2022, which will require recommendations be provided by the Town of Lancaster Planning Board prior to approval of granting a site plan extension by amending Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14 Administration and Enforcement, subsection 400-75D9, site plan review of the code of the town of Lancaster. It will be held at 7:15 PM on the 6th day of June, 2022, at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, and that notice of the time and place be published in the official newspaper of the town. And 2, the town clerk is hereby directed and authorized to publish public notice of said hearing in the official newspaper and given in accordance with municipal home rule law, the open meetings law, and section 264 and 265 of the town law of the state of New York, in which notice shall be in form attached hereto and made part hereof. And 3, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We're going to break now for our public hearings. I'll ask for a motion to open public hearing number 1, which is a special use permit for Anderson's Frozen Custard.
Motion to open public hearing.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm going to go on and read the notice. Legal notice hereby given that pursuant to the authority set forth in Chapter 400 zoning, Section 78, entitled Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and the Town Law of the State of New York, pursuant to a resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster adopted on the 2nd day of May 2022, the said Town Board will hold a public hearing on the 16th day of May 2022 at 7:15, local time at Town Hall, to hear all interested persons upon the application of Keith Anderson, owner of Anderson's Frozen Custard, to operate a restaurant on premises located 4855 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster. Would anybody like to speak on this? Is the applicant here from Anderson's? Would anybody like to speak on this public hearing? I'll ask again. Anybody like to speak? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion closed.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a motion to open public hearing number 2? And this is the local law Schedule B revision.
Motion to open.
May I have a second?
Second.
And I'll read the legal notice. Hereby given that pursuant to municipal home rule law of the state of New York and Chapter 23 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, pursuant to a resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster adopted May 2nd, 2022, the said Town Board will hold a public hearing on the 16th day of May 2022 at 7:15 p.m. for purposes of considering and possibly adopting a local law to amend the Town of Lancaster Town Code by updating and correcting lot sizes within zoning 400 attachment 2 Schedule B of the Town of Lancaster's Town Code. Copies of the proposed local law can be viewed at Lancaster Town Hall here at 21 Central Avenue during normal business hours and on the town website. All interested members of the public shall be heard. So at this point, I'll ask anybody like to speak on public hearing number 2. I'll ask again on public hearing number 2. And for a third time, I'm going to ask for a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Motion to close.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we're going to carry on then with our resolutions. We left off at number 11, which is Councilmember Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members. I'm offering resolution number 11 for adoption. Whereas by letter dated May 6, 2022, the town of Lancaster's code enforcement officer, Matt Fischone, has advised the town board that his department is in possession of mainframe computers with hard drives, monitors, keyboards, and associated accessories, serial numbers 46MDQW1, B2WTDP1, F007NS1, B2XQDP, and 46LGQW1 that are currently outdated, unusable, or broken beyond repair, and has requested that these items be deemed surplus equipment and be donated for recycling to Sun King Electronics Recycling Services. And whereas Deputy Highway Superintendent Michelle Barbaro has secured for the town's municipal departments and facilities a free electronics drop-off bin with free pickup by Sun King Electronics Recycling Services. And whereas the town board has given due consideration to the request of the town supervisor and deems it in the public's interest to declare the aforementioned items to be surplus equipment and permit donation of said items for recycling. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby declares the aforementioned electronic equipment to be surplus equipment and authorizes Code Enforcement Officer Matt Fischone to donate said equipment to Sun King Electronic Recycling Service, 4 Owens Road, Brockport, New York, 14420, to be recycled at no cost to the town per the arrangement made with the Town of Lancaster's Deputy Highway Superintendent.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session for the second executive session, item number 2, regarding the police. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We'll be right back, folks.
And I want to point out that it is being live streamed, this portion, so anything you do or say is being live streamed. It will not stop while we're out of the room.
I see Amy saying that stuff on the heaters. What's she saying? Wasn't that stuff?
Hi guys. I'm Madison. I'm the communications person for CSEA. If you guys, anyone who has the CSEA sign, can you just hold it up for me right now?
You know, John.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
They weren't even cool, so they were. rim. Right, half a foot. That's not
There's 96 is a nice spot. So there's this point down here. Like this point's down here. 95 from here. 94 point down here.
right, which makes sense.
1.1. One raised. They got direction that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know where here, there, that's that way, that's that way. And they didn't show any changes making sense. It's like, 45 feet, it shouldn't even been over there. They did something. I might guess that this material out here. Yeah, you know, several times.
Morning.
Okay.
Be in the morning on Wednesday.
I gotta be in Williamsville at 11. I can do it like that. He spelled his name B-R-Y-A-N.
No official actions were taken by the town board in executive session.
Have a motion to close the executive session.
Motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yeah, here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We're going to move on with our regular meeting. Councilmember Mazur, you have number 12.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has hereto held a public hearing pursuant to Chapter 24 zoning, Article 14 administration enforcement, subsection 400-78 special use permits, the Code of the Town of Lancaster upon application of Richard J. Cook for a special use permit for a home occupation CPA office on premises located at 60 Michael's Walk, Lancaster, New York, and the board issued a special use permit on June 6, 2008. The special use permit is subject to renewal upon application by the property owner. Whereas per its terms and conditions, this special use permit is currently up for renewal. And whereas a letter received April 21st, 2022, Richard Cook has requested the town board renew a special permit for an additional 2-year term. And whereas Matt Vachon, Code Enforcement Officer, has recommended approval of the special use permit renewal per his letter dated April 25th, 2022. Now therefore it be resolved as follows, that pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14 residential districts, home occupations of the Code of Lancaster, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Richard Cook for a home occupation CPA office on premises located at 60 Michael's Walk, upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period June 16, 2022, ending June 15, 2024, and 2, that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions set forth in Section 416F, home occupations, and 478 special use permits of the Code of Lancaster, and any additional conditions listed herein, as long as the applicant continues to engage in the home occupation on the premises, namely, letter A, special use permit terminates when the applicant no longer resides on the premises. B, permit must be renewed every 2 years at no additional cost to the applicant. Permit renewal is considered upon property owner submitting a written request to the town clerk on or before June 15, 2024. C, applicant will obtain and provide a copy of the Business New York State Tax or Federal Employee Identification Number, and where required, a copy of the valid state license issued by the appropriate regulatory agency for the service being provided. And D, applicant will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter the premises upon reasonable notice to inspect the premises to verify compliance with the permit.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 13. In this resolve, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster being and is hereby authorized to complete and submit Form PO-17, which is a new position duty statement, for authorization by the County of Erie Department of Personnel to create one additional position of building and zoning clerk in the building and zoning department. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary actions to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, you have number 14.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering resolution number 14 for adoption. Whereas Michelle Barbaro, the Deputy Highway Superintendent of the Town of Lancaster, has requested that the CO detection system within the Town of Lancaster Police Department's gun range located at 525 Pavement Road be replaced, and whereas the park crew chief has solicited 2 quotes for a new CO detection system in accordance with the Town of Lancaster's procurement policy, and whereas by letter dated May 10th, 2022, the Deputy Highway Superintendent has recommended that the Town of Lancaster accept the proposal from Molenberg Betts dated April 29th, 2022, number RS 20222-007, Rev 2, in the amount of $6,940. Now, Therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the supervisor to accept the quote dated April 29th, 2022, from Molenberg Betts, 300 Scott Street, Buffalo, New York, 14204, to provide and install a new CO detection system within the Town of Lancaster Police Department's gun range located at 525 Pavement Road for an amount not to exceed $6,940 per their quote dated April 29th, 2022, and which will be paid for with funds available from the town's 2022 other public safety income account 05-1589.
May I have a second
Second?
on the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, you have number 15.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board is considering approval of a proposed motel and mixed-use facility with commercial space on the first floor seconded by Lucas James, be located at the corner of Broadway and Bowen Road in the Town of Lancaster. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the environmental impact of this project pursuant to seeker regulations at their meeting April 20th, 2022, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued. Whereas the Town Board has duly considered the plans for the construction project using the short environmental assessment form criteria for determining significant set forth in seeker regulations and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the Town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the Town Board has identified the relevant issues of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, has made a reasoned elaboration of the basis for its determination, and whereas the proposed action has been labeled an unlisted action under seeker, now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Lancaster, that number one, this project is described as a motel and mixed-use facility, commercial space on the first floor to be located at the corner of Broadway and Bowen, will not result in any large or important impacts, and therefore it is an action which will not have significant adverse impact on the environment. And therefore, the board issues the attached negative declaration of environmental significance for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration that's filed for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner and with all required New York State and Erie County agencies, filing a copy of letter of transmittal. And 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second? I'll second it to put through a vote. On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Is this just for the seeker? This isn't it? Yes.
Let's see here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 16. This is out the following individuals, which basically comes down to 8 laborers and 1 recreation supervisor, are hereby appointed in the following part-time temporary seasonal positions in the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. Be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 17. Now therefore be it resolved, the following individuals hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the Town of Lancaster's Youth Bureau, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week, and that this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. John Kozarowski, tutor, $17.50 an hour. Effective date is May 18th. And be it further resolved, Supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, you have number 18.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board is considering the rezone application submitted by Jeffrey Palumbo of Barclay Damon on behalf of WKP2 LLC, Oak Ridge MFR Holdings LLC, and RDNW LLC for the 4.9 acre property located at 338 Harris Hill, from light commercial to multifamily residential district, to correct current zoning misclassification, which will bring the property into conformity with zoning code within the town. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the environmental impact of this rezone project pursuant to seeker regulations at the meeting April 6, 2022, and recommended a negative declaration be issued. And whereas the Town Board has duly considered the plans for the rezone project using the long environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in seeker regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the Town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the Town Board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, and has made a reasoned elaboration of the basis for its determination. And whereas the proposed action has been labeled a Type 1 action under seeker, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that number one, based upon the Town Board's thorough and careful review of the proposed rezone of the 4.9 acre site located at 338 Harris Hill Road, from light commercial to multifamily residential mixed use, and will not result in any significant environmental impacts, and hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to seeker for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner and with all required New York State and Erie County agencies, following a copy of the letter of transmission. And 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second? Again, I'll second it to put through a vote.
On the resolution.
Oh, on the question? Not just a second. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move Resolution number 19, be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Lancaster hereby approves as presented the agreement for leave of absence between the town, CSEA, White Collar Unit, and Sherry Garino. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members. I'm offering,
You have to move first.
oh, okay.
You have to suspend the rules.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to suspend.
I was going to that.
He was doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
I thought you-
Sorry, no, I was going into it. The following suspended resolution requests a suspension of the necessary rules for immediate consideration of the following.
I'll second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Whereas Gene Carn, Dog Control Officer of the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated April 26, 2022, has recommended the appointment of the following individual to the following part-time temporary seasonal position. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal position in the Town of Lancaster Dog Control Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time temporary employees. Name, Kim Offhouse, Dog Control Officer, $16 an hour. Effective date, May 16th, 2022. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
We have a second?
Second.
On the question? I just have a comment. I feel that we've given this department enough help. We just turned another part-time position to full-time. They have 2 full-time people. This will give them a 3rd full-time person for another almost 5 months, almost a half a year. We have other departments that are in need of employment, employees to assist. This is the only comment I make, so on the roll.
This is
Wait.
Oh, on the question?
Can I have,
It is a
Since you're making a
part-time, not a
comment on
full-time
there.
position.
The position is needed at this point, and as we discussed back in the room here in our work study, you have one employee who's got 172 hours of accrued comp time since the beginning of the year. You got 2 other employees who have significant, over $1,000 in overtime in your department. I find it a little bit disturbing that you continue to question dog control, and they're just out there trying to do their jobs.
As
So,
I explained in the back room, is that we are implementing a new back office system, which included a accounts payable system, a budget system, and now we're working through the payroll system to automate everything. These overtime hours will cease come July.
That's great. And on the same other hand, dog control needs a person to be out there to help out, and do their job. They need that person the same way you need these 2 employees to work extra hours, so.
And again, I did a comparison with other towns, and we're way over and above. But
We have not done a comparison with supervisors' offices. I will be happy to do that and get back to you on it.
go for it. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
No. I'd like to move suspended resolution number 2 or 21, this would be. Whereas the chief of police of the town of Lancaster has recommended the appointment of police officer Ronald Giza of Lancaster, New York, to the position of police lieutenant to fill an existing vacancy. Whereas Ronald Giza is eligible for the appointment as a result of his placement on the applicable Erie County Department of Personnel eligible list. Now therefore be it resolved that Ronald Giza be and is hereby appointed the position of police lieutenant in the town of Lancaster Police Department effective May 17, 2022, contingent upon approval by the Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the town of Lancaster and the Cayuga Cayuga Club Police Beverly Lake Association, and all applicable provisions of the law. And be it further resolved, the supervisor of the town of Lancaster be and is hereby authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. We're going to move on to our communications. 299 and 300 are received and filed. 301, resolution tonight. 302, received and filed. 303, resolution, well, that was pulled, tabled. 303 is tabled. 304 through 306, received and filed. 307, resolution tonight. 308 through 311, received and filed. 312, resolution tonight. 313, received and filed. 314 is for resolution. 315 is received and filed. 316 for resolution. 317 is the town attorney. 318 through 320, received and filed. 321 through 323, planning committee. 324, received and filed. 325, planning committee. 326 and 27, received and filed. 328 and 329, resolution tonight. 330 is for resolution. 331 and 332, received and filed. 333 is for resolution. 334, resolution tonight. 335 and 36, received and filed. At this point, we'll call anybody that'd like to come up and discuss anything they'd like, any town matters. You please come up, state your name, address. You have 5 minutes. I'll recognize the gentleman back there first. Mark, you have the timer, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Mike Dewan. I have an office on Transit Road. I'm an attorney. I'm here with my client, the Bices. Mr. Bice and his wife live at 27 Pavement Road in the town of Lancaster. Their property is adjacent to a business known as 21 Pavement LLC. And essentially what's going on is that the business that's adjacent to Mr. Bice runs machinery, and that machinery is quite loud. Mr. Bice has made complaints to the building department seeking some sort of resolution here because basically his kids can't go to sleep at night until the machinery is turned off at 11 p.m. We had a sound engineer go to Mr. Bice's house and he measured the decibel level to be 70 decibels at Mr. Bice's house, which is basically like having a vacuum cleaner running inside of your house all of the time. Mr. Bice's complaints have been answered basically with the response that the new town code allows for businesses to make as much noise as they want between certain hours of the day. My research has indicated that, number one, the new town code does not speak directly to the issue, and my further understanding is that where the new town code does not speak directly to an issue, the old town code applies. I have written a letter to Mr. Fowler, who was very helpful, and explained to me that the building department was going to look into it again. That was back in February. We're now going into summer, and Mr. Bice's children still cannot fall asleep until after 11 p.m. We really don't know where else to go with this complaint except for to this honorable board. I don't expect any direct answers tonight as far as a final resolution, but it shouldn't be that he's completely helpless. We had a realtor go out to his house. The realtor estimated that the value of his home is $40,000 less because of the noise. It's not equitable. The worst part is the sound reduction equipment that would be required to mitigate the noise costs less than $10,000. And so we are at a strange impasse here. The building department doesn't seem to be willing to do anything about the noise issue, and my client is ready to move out of town. I've known him since middle school. He is a fantastic resident. He has a fantastic family, and we would be losing quite a bit if he had to leave just because somebody can't put in noise reduction equipment that's quite simple and quite cheap. And so we are here asking for your help. It seems rather unfair that this man's kids can't sleep at night when there's such an easy answer to the problem. And so that is all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Dewan, can I hear the Vice's spelling of their name?
B-I-C-E, and they reside at 27 Pavement Road in Lancaster. The business in question is 21 Pavement Road.
Mr. Dwan, what is what's the machinery? Is it?
They Steve, can you tell us?
It's an exhaust system on the back of his building.
So he does light manufacturing, and you know we're all in favor of business in Lancaster. There's no problem with light manufacturing. But again, when it costs less than $10,000 to mitigate a noise problem and no one's willing to do anything about it, you know, his property is zoned residential. The old town code speaks directly to this issue. It says that anything that's adjacent to residential property, the noise level can be no higher than the volume of street traffic. The new town code does not speak to it whatsoever. So there has to be an answer here. It can't just be that Mr. Bice has to leave. That doesn't make any sense.
I hope there's some type of muffler device that can be put on, but
There most certainly is.
we'll leave this going forward to, like I said, our town attorney's involved with it, so is our code enforcement officer. So hopefully there's some resolution that comes out of this.
Excellent. I appreciate that. We'll be back in a month to report back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
John Flores, I live at 8 Parkdale. In answer to his questions, there are OSHA regulations that they can tap into because the employees should not have to work at a level of sound that could hurt their ears. There are a number of things they can do, putting up clear plastic drapery around the machinery. It gives it a little bit of temperance on that. You can put sound deafening on the walls. There are things they can do. I did a lot of work with stamping plants, and that's what they end up doing. So OSHA, go to OSHA. They'll take care of it. My original discussion, though, was I came here to talk about my neighbor put up a new fence. And I'm going to give you the short version. They put up a fence on April 25th. I looked at it and said, this is really high. So I thought about it, looked it up. I called the town board, building inspector, and I asked for an inspector to come and see me. This was a Friday the 29th. And eventually he showed up, but he didn't come to see me. I don't know why, but that's another story. But he stopped by there and looked at the fence. He never got out of his car, wrote down a few notes, took off. A week later, the company that put the fence in there were over there, and they were tearing down the entire fence that was on the Parkdale side, down to a 3-foot level, which it should be. but that's the only thing they did. There are about 4 other issues that I have there, and I talked to one of his inspectors last week, and we went around and around with all these codes. And there are more issues there, and he's supposed to write up another variant problem with a section that he knows that is like about 20 foot. That's way too high. The other issue I have, and we had a little bit of a discussion on, the fence by my house, because I'm parallel to that, is 6'6". Easy. I have pictures. You can see my backyard neighbor, they have a 6-foot fence. This fence is that much higher where it butts up. So to my mind, I'm going, there's something wrong here. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but the inspector says, well, you do it by average grade. And I said, well, where is that in the code? And he couldn't tell me. And I know where it is, but it's not by the average grade. It's by the average grade of the lot. And he doesn't want to talk about the lot because that's a different number. So the fence as it stands now was put on a flower bed to raise it 6 inches. And it's right on the edge of it. You can tell that it was deliberately done that way, just to raise it up some more. So I have an issue with it, and my recommendation is to go back, rescind that permit, make them take the fence down, and submit a good plan to the board as to what really is the code and what should it be, but I wouldn't let them put a fence up for 5 to 10 more years. That's my point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, John, did you say your address was 8 Garfield?
8 Parkdale.
Oh, Parkdale. Thank you.
Post.
Not really.
Is it okay if I give everyone something?
Oh, yeah.
Over here on this side?
Yeah, no, there we are. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of copies
Thank you.
today. You guys can share.
We can share it.
Hi, my name is Kelly Hartwig. I live at 21 Americal Court. I was here about a month ago talking about my request, or actually the community's request, for a neighborhood park in the southern part of Lancaster, so south of William Street. I brought some materials for you guys to take a look at when you have the time, but basically, first is the proposal that I originally submitted back in November of last year with an overview and the goals of what this park might entail. Since then, I've done a lot more research. There are pictures of our community, how big our neighborhoods are. I reached out to the town clerk, Miss Diane there, and she helped me by pulling a list of all the new builds that have been built since 1990 and how much money has been contributed to a new park recreation in the community. The town subdivision regulations on our website states that the goal is to have a recreational space for every new subdivision, if allowed. And I'm here to tell you that there are no parks, again, south of William Street, starting from Transit Road all the way to past Bowen, where Summer Fields is and all those other new communities. So just on my calculation, I took Ms. Diane's report and I eliminated over, I don't know, 20,000 households that were not south of Lancaster. And the sum of that in Excel was $1.6 million. So I'd like to know where that $1.6 million has been spent. If it has not, I'd like to have a park created as soon as possible. I have a Facebook group of over 300 members from south of Lancaster, parents who are also in vote to have a park built in our vicinity. I included in the documents that I shared with you the comprehensive plan that was created in February of 2000 for the town of Lancaster, in which it states clearly that we are underparked for the size of our community, and we have grown since. We have 40,000 people in our town, an additional 10 in the village. And if you compare that to Orchard Park and West Seneca and Clarence, those are 3 reference towns that I've included, again, in the attachments. West Seneca has roughly 40 to 40,000 residents, similar to us, and they have 16 parks. Orchard Park has 9, and Clarence has 6, and we currently have 4. And Clarence, their population is only around less than 30,000. So I do believe there's a need. Some additional information that I've been sharing with Mr. Dave and Michelle is, again, the health benefits, the social benefits for having parks for kids in our community, the safety requirements. Right now, the only park that they can get access to would be Como Park, which is not a town-owned park. And from where my kids live and most of the kids live, there's no safe access to those parks. There's no sidewalks on the side streets, and then they'd have to cross over William Street. The National Recreation Parks and Association, that's all referenced in the 2000 document that I sent you, but it's also been updated, and I pulled this documentation. I can email it to you, or I can give you this hard copy. But it really clearly defines, based on the size of our community, how many parks we should have, how many basketball courts we should have. For example, 8 basketball courts. I believe there's 2, one at Meadow Lee and one at Kisa Park. So I just feel like the kids in our community are kind of suffering due to the fact they have nowhere to really have fun with their friends outside of, you know, the neighborhoods or in their backyard. So I'd like to ask the town, how quickly can we get this project moving, and, you know, what would the next steps be? Because again, I started this process back in November. My understanding is that there is a lack of town space, which I ask, why did we sell so much if, you know, not leave enough space for recreation for these families? We have nowhere to walk kids. There's no playgrounds. William Street is an open field that has nothing for the kids to do. So again, just looking for the town to support this initiative and ask what we can do to make it go somewhat fast.
Well, I just want one comment. We do have a meeting set up for Friday.
Okay, is that confirmed? I
With
didn't
you,
know if
yeah.
Michelle
Yeah,
was
Michelle.
available. Perfect, okay, awesome,
We'll get the ball rolling there, and
great.
And part of the
Okay,
issue is getting land.
pardon?
Part of the issue is getting the land. We don't own all the land,
Right,
you know, so, you know, not long ago, we were looking at some property, some land to put soccer fields in, which would include the park and everything like that. It fell through. It just wasn't, you know.
right. Yeah, I know that there's land behind, is it Anthony Street, which is close to transit, so it would help some of the neighborhoods, not so much Bowen. There's land that's not owned by us, that's behind Lake Street, which may or may not be Elma. There's the school, which I've been talking to the school. I talked to Dr. Kufel and Dr. Valley, and they're open to the discussion of possibly using it. Dr. Valley's concern was there's no sidewalks near the school. But again, I think if we can just start small and get a basketball court and a playground, and then we can go from there. I know the soccer group is part of the group that is on Facebook. They were looking for a field. I know the football organization has been looking for a field. There's lots of towns that are building a lot of recreational facilities at the schools and in the parks for their kids, and again, where we are, we just have nothing for them. So I think that hopefully we can find a spot that works for everybody. I know behind the fire hall too on William Street, I was told that that may or may not be available. I did speak to a volunteer fireman who said that the gentleman who owned that land, well, there's one that's owned by a realtor, but they can't build on it because there's some stuff underground. Again, I'm hearing this all through different people, so
Matt,
I think there's options.
He did, she's over, so I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. No, I appreciate it.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
see you Friday.
Hi, Jill Ackerman, CSEA Labor Relations Specialist. I'm here on the behalf of the blue and white collar units. As previously, I've been here before to talk about negotiations. We have since received a last and final offer from the town, and as you can see here, we have quite a few folks that are concerned. We had many that were unable to come tonight as well. I'm going to say it, we're saddened, we're frustrated, we're disgusted. The lack of respect, the unorthodox process in which negotiations has happened. We agreed with the town that we would do our best to prevent the need for an attorney, to hire an outside attorney, and in turn, I believe this is actually going to cost the town quite a bit more money. These folks have worked here. They are dedicated to the town. They live here. It's a requirement. They're not required to work here, but they choose to. We ask for simple respect. The offer that we have received is a last and final offer, is not acceptable. It's nothing that the community, I feel, would be happy with. Our neighboring towns here in Lancaster, the neighboring towns have recently accepted, approved, and offered some phenomenal, respectable wages. We're not seeing that here in the town of Lancaster. We've seen quite a bit of disrespect for our employees, and it's frustrating. We also have at least one town board member that took it upon themselves to share what that offer was going to be weeks before it was given to us. And sadly, that offer was given to folks outside of the town of Lancaster. As we all know, word spreads quickly. So imagine our surprise and our frustration when we found out that that offer was presented ahead of time and not to us. We really wish that the town had taken the negotiations more seriously. CSEA takes it very seriously, and again, this is on behalf of the blue and white collar. We're both in the same boat. Everyone here sitting on this board benefits from the services provided by both the blue and white collar units. We should be proud of those services. There's no doubt that the town of Lancaster provides unparalleled services. The folks behind me tonight, they're here, they live here. They work this, they know what it is, and they don't ever question their loyalty to the town. Could they go elsewhere? Absolutely. Have some considered it? Absolutely. But they don't want to. They want to work with the town. They want a fair and reasonable offer. While I'm here on behalf of these folks today, there are many folks that do want to speak. So I ask that the town board hear, listen, and consider what these workers have to say. We also hope that you will reconsider your offer and give me a call, and we will talk about any offers that moving forward and help in the end save the taxpayers the money that it's going to cost to resolve these issues. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Liam O'Brien. I'm a laborer for the Town of Lancaster Highway Department and the Secretary-Treasurer for our unit. I'm here tonight not because I want to be, because I have to be. The people in power in this town feel as though the employees don't deserve a raise that employees in other villages and counties have already received, signed on the dotted line for. Not to mention the private sector pay increases are through the roof and well-deserved. We're not asking for much, my colleagues and I, but we are struggling. Majority of highway workers here work other jobs after 3 o'clock just to pay our bills. We have no choice. We have to live here. It's a requirement. Let's see. So we can't decide to move to another town for lower housing prices or tax rates. As employees, we're forced to live here. Could we quit our jobs? Of course. Do we want to? No. Why? Because this is our community. We love what we do. And when there's abundance of brush on the side of the road, roads are flooded, bubblers to be done, that's our pride and joy. And a lot of people take that for granted, I think. Not many other towns have services that we provide, so I'm asking please work with us, give us a raise that we deserve and need to keep this community clear of snow and properly maintained. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? For a second time, anybody else like to speak?
Hello, my name is Corey, and I'm the union president for the town of Lancaster's blue collar workers. I'll be honest, I don't want to be here tonight because I shouldn't have to be. No one from my unit should be. But here we are because we know that we are being both underpaid and undervalued by the folks running our town. People have been flocking to Lancaster in recent years because of how well kept the town is. But this town is only so attractive to the people looking to put down roots because our prompt and quality services provided by our department. So it's disappointing to say, at the least, that our department is being so severely underappreciated. The town has no shortage of funds to provide us with fair wages and affordable benefits. So why isn't this happening? Just next door in Depew, they just got a well-deserved raise. So what's stopping us from going there? I'll tell you why. We stay because we love this town. This is our home.
Excuse me, Corey, your last name?
Shelton.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak?
Good evening. My name is John Snyder. I'm a crew chief out at the Highway Department and a 20-year employee of the town of Lancaster. The town of Lancaster Highway Department is here to provide essential and emergency services to over 27,000 homes in the town of Lancaster. This workforce performs services that other highway departments do not or are unable to perform. Ask any town resident at 6 in the morning during the winter, and they will tell you where the town boundaries are. They go from town roads that are plowed and down to black pavement to ice and snow-covered roads. Town workers approach every job not with the attitude of let's just get it done, but with the mindset of if this was my property or if I drove on this road, how would I like the work performed? This department has highly experienced mechanics, truck drivers, and operators, and blacktop personnel. We have the needs and skills to perform most any mission. What we don't appear to have is the support and respect of our elected members. We know and feel this not only of their statements, but by their actions, or should I say lack of actions. I spent 22 years in the Air Force, 10 years on active duty and 12 years in the 107 Civil Engineering Squadron at Niagara Falls, retiring at the rank of Master Sergeant. One thing I learned as an NCO is that you take care of the troops, and the troops will take care of the mission with the highest degree of professionalism and efficiency. I'm disappointed that a service member sits on this board and has chosen to take a different approach towards the town employees. It appears he has been influenced by others, having placed personal and political feelings above the personnel, mission of the Highway Department, and the service to the community. We ask only for a fair contract, the respect of our local officials, so that we can continue to service this town and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? You sure can.
I lived in Lancaster all my life. My name is Thomas Michael. On my behalf of the workers of the town of Lancaster, you do a fine job. Coming from me, believe me. I lived in Lancaster all my life, and you do a fine job, and keep up the good work. Thank you. I'm here, I live at Bell Towers, Unit 77, building number 3915. I'm on board member, and I'm representing the community on the project that's going to be built at Broadway and Bowen. I know there's been a lot of issues brought up on it. Matt knows it too, and Matt about the traffic at the corner of Bowen and Broadway. I know Lucas James is going to have a drive-through restaurant with 4 rooms and offices on the corner of Bowen and Broadway. I know the zoning board, I've been there with them, and it's been zoned properly. So I know something has to be built. We know something has to be built on that corner. Now you want to go back, Evans Manor, now how far is that going back? Used to be there at that corner. You're talking how many years ago? And there was no problem. But now there's so many projects going on that corner is so bad with traffic. We're trying to, what we would like to have done, if possible, nobody making a left-hand turn onto Broadway going west. That anybody comes in that property, make a right-hand turn. The planning board did make up also an 8-foot fence that's going to surround our complex. The lighting has to be not shining in the building. And I know Matt mentioned that the traffic was by the state and the county and everything's fine. But you go there at 8 o'clock in the morning and see how tough it is. Plus the school buses coming from William Street School, going back to their garage. It's terrible. And it blocks up all the way to our entrance at Bell Towers. Now, I don't know what can be done about it. I know you people want something built there, and I don't blame you because of the corner. And I know the zoning is correct. I wish you people could help us out in some of these restrictions that we have here that we would like to have taken care of, if possible, from the town board. I only have one piece of paper. Can I give it to the clerk? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Anybody else like to speak?
Good luck to you people. You deserve it. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Scott Pease. I am the white collar president. As Jill stated earlier, we've been trying to get a contract moving forward with you folks for quite some time. Unfortunately, during that process, we've had some people that were involved that are no longer involved, and some new people have taken over. And you know, as a group, I mean, I don't know how many town board meetings that we have this many people in, but we're looking to be fair, and we think that, as some of the other members have said too, is that we don't feel appreciated. We come in every day, and we really do. Before hours, after hours, in the middle of the night, for some of these folks in the highway department. Our parks are some of the best in the town and in local area towns near us. And I don't think any of us are really asking for a lot. You know, when we hear of other towns, yeah, everybody's got a certain reason for it. You know, why Depew gets this or why West Seneca gets that. It's totally understandable. You know, but each one of you guys and girls signed up for something important. You know, when the town budget came about, did anybody at all in this group think to themselves, we've got 4 contracts that we have to negotiate for this year? So every one of us in this room sees the kind of spending that goes on by this town board. Every Monday night, every other Monday night, spending $100,000 here, spending $50,000 there. I mean, you know, for things that are, I don't know, for the lack of a better word, I mean, are really important. I mean, how much more money are we going to spend in this historic building? It's probably going to end up costing us some more, as Councilman Burkhardt has noted. There's some rotted wood and it needs to be attended to. But the important thing is that we came into this budget, nobody looked at those numbers. All we've done for years in the past is gone 5% over the previous budget. That's it. That's been our gauge. So every year, it's 5% more. We have never gone backwards on a budget. We have never handed these budgets back to the department managers and said, we need to work on this. Let's trim some fat off of this. We got all these big, beautiful, shiny machines and big, beautiful trucks, which, I'm sorry, highway department, but I mean, you got great stuff. But at the end of the day, it comes down to spending and how we're spending our money. Overtime hours in some departments are allowed overtime, some departments are not. As Councilmember Leary said about the supervisor's office, I mean, 160 hours of comp time, which is overtime for someone, is a lot. New system, we get it, but the new system also cost us money too. What was wrong with the previous system?
I can explain that. So I came from a bank with a DOS-based system. We had a DOS-based system from the 80s that had Windows dressing on it. Okay, at the bank, we were forced to move over. We're going to lose 3,000 customers. The town was in the same shape. We were ready to shut down. If that DOS-based system fails, the town shuts down. That's the position that we were put in. Yeah. We had old equipment. Our telephones, you could not even call forward on them. Okay, I brought in a new phone system, actually costing us less money than the old system. We were paying numerous dollars. Our copier fax machines, we were paying so much money for copies. Okay, we brought in new machines, paying less money. So there are things that we had to do to upgrade the technical parts of the units. The cost on the back office, yeah, it was a lot. But for letting it go for years, I just came in this office a few years ago.
Yeah.
Okay?
But maybe this wasn't the year to do it, knowing that we had 4 contracts. We have a police
And what
contract
happens,
coming up.
Depew got forced in the situation where their phone system went down, it crashed. We were right behind them. Okay, if I didn't take the initiative to put those new phones in, we were gonna crash. Okay, Depew had to install a whole new phone system over a weekend. Now, luckily, they had me to look at because I did the investigation of 5 companies and they used my reference and installed that over the weekend, basically. So you don't wait for things to break. Again, having my experience and knowing what was going on with a DOS-based COBOL system from the 1980s, that's where we were. We tried to get a payroll system in, the front end. When we went to go to the back office, it failed because it couldn't communicate. We tried to put a budget system in. Same thing happened, it failed. The problem was the brains, the back office system. It had to be replaced. It should have been done years ago. It wasn't.
So, I mean, so what are we supposed to do? I mean, yeah, we need technology in our lives. We need vehicles in our lives. All that stuff isn't going to work if there's no one here to man the stuff. I mean, nobody's asking for anything crazy. I mean, we just want someone to sit down and be passionate with us like we are passionate with this job and come up with a solve for it. Just come up with a solution. You know, no one's in here saying we want 7% or 8% or this or that or the other thing. I mean, we're so fair across the line. And I think that's all we're looking for, is to be fair and be appreciated. And I think we just need to really all sit down and come up with a plan that's going to benefit everybody. Cost of living is through the roof. You know, I mean, the spending in this town is unbelievable. You look at it every other Monday night. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just, half these people don't know it, but I mean, there's a ton of money that we spend at these meetings. And that's really all I have to say about it. I just wanted to be a little bit more thrifty when it comes to our spending and start taking care of the employees that deserve it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Hi, Jerry Blanchard. I was just wanted to ask when we were going to have occupancy and open up the dog control building, the new building. Any insight on that?
We're probably looking July-ish.
End of June, early July.
End of June, early July.
Did they started working on it with the new inspections?
They've ordered the equipment. They've ordered stuff they had to order. So it's expected, something's expected in a week or so, and you know, as it comes in, they will be working on it. We still have the outside fence to put up yet. That wasn't part of the project, but it's required, obviously, to make it operational.
All right, so July is expected open. Okay. All right, and I'm with you guys, every one of you.
Thank you.
You know, I know the overspend.
Jerry?
1160 Ransom Road. 1160 Ransom Road.
Thank you.
Appreciate it if you kind of keep it down because we're trying to record and we can't hear some of the stuff going on. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Okay. Yep.
Paul Rath, 3914 Bowen Road, Lancaster. I just have a few comments, and it's on behalf of CSEA and all these hard workers here that are providing extra services and going above and beyond. As of October 3rd, the Buffalo News had an article about growth. From 2010 to current, there is 2,500 new housing units, mostly single-family residents. Along with that comes roads, drainage, and everything else that everyone else here is providing and taking care of. So I don't know if you knew what that number was, but it's 2,500 single-family residents. Also, the services that I'm talking about going above and beyond, Mr. Supervisor, on February 15th of this year, you had a dead deer probably about 100 yards in your backyard, correct?
I did.
You called up the highway or the rec department, and what happened?
Actually, the police called them in, and they basically dragged
Okay,
the
but we had to get authorization. It was in your backyard, about 100 yards, 150 yards, I don't know exactly. The services, we usually don't go past the sidewalk to accommodate a resident. Here we go 100, 150 yards to take care of our services, that we go above and beyond things like that. To be compensated and what we are offered is a slap in the face, is a slap in the face to all of us. You heard a couple residents right here, right now, show appreciation and the thanks for this. And that's just the ones that are here right now. Like I said, I just had a few comments and concerns that we all have here. Just one other thing, with Juneteenth around the corner, are there any plans from the board about a holiday? It's a federal holiday. I know last year we had to work it. Amherst gave their employees the day off. Tonawanda did as well. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that. Anyone? No thoughts on the Juneteenth?
This is what we see. This is what we get.
No? Nothing? Okay, that's all I had. Like I said, we are more than deserving of a fair contract, and what we were offered was a joke. Was a joke. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Anybody else like to speak? I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session for the two remaining items.
Motion to go into executive
May I have a
session?
second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
The motion was made by Leary,
Correct.
Yes.
and the second? Thank you. Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Raffino?
Yes. Thank you all for coming.